And sensing the body sitting or lying, and the body knows, has experience with both of these. So just letting the body come into awareness, sitting or lying. And then we're going to gently sweep the body, seeing how it is. So we're just touching in to begin with the sense of the feet in contact with the floor or the blanket or the mattress, wherever you are. And one of the ways we know to best access the experience of the feet is to gather the breath in one's attention. And then to, on the out breath, breathing down beyond the chest, the belly, the legs, all the way into the feet, and holding the attention there, along with this felt sense of breathing into and out from the feet, helps sustain attention. Warm or cool, moisture, dryness, contact with the slipper, the sock, floor. You can leave eyes open or closed. And then moving into the feet beyond the skin surface, picking up subtle body experience, a tingling, throbbing, numbness, pressure. And then I'd like you to move right to the bone. There's a hard or grounded sense there as well, beyond the soft flesh. These are called the three bodies: the physical body, the subtle body, and the energetic body. They're also qualities of mind. You might feel the sense of space between the toes. You will be able to distinguish the fatty pads of the feet from the thin skin on the front. Just look at the wisdom already available just here in the feet. And from this direct experiencing of the feet, you can know that the feet are okay or not okay. You can know that they do not require attention, they require additional attention or care, and this is good. Just resting the attention in the area of the feet. And then shifting from the feet, breathing out, letting go of the feet, and coming into the area of the lower legs, the ankle, the shin, the calf. And remember, we're bringing the breath and the attention into this part of the body. Now, if you're new to this practice, and even if you're not, you will notice thoughts arising. You may notice other body sensations, sounds, of course, and maybe even particular emotions arising. And this is not seen as a failure or a problem. It's just something in which to bring that Prajna, Paramita, a certain awareness, wisdom. Oh, the mind moving off into remembering an injury. Oh, me thinking, I've never liked these ankles. And rather than get stuck there, rather than create additional thoughts about the thought, we simply recognize a thought occurring, an image occurring, a judgment occurring. We smile with the recognition. And we come right back into the area of the lower legs, seeing how they are just right now. Feeling sensations or maybe a lack of sensation. Knowing that the lower leg also holds an essential wisdom. It holds its history as well as the present moment. Regarding these lower legs, expressing gratitude, appreciation, and care by your very attention. And seeing how the lower leg is right now, they will not be the same as they were when we began in the lower legs. Things will have changed and shifted. This is the reality of impermanence, representing itself, Prajna, Paramita. Nothing is permanent. Not these lower legs, not the sensations in the legs, not the thoughts about the lower legs. So taking an in breath, breathing in, making contact with all that is available here in the lower legs as a whole. And on the out breath, letting go of the lower legs with the wish, may these legs and feet be well. And coming up into the area of the knees, for both the left and the right leg. Now, you may immediately have thoughts about the leg. There may be things about the knees you like, things about the knees you don't like. Those often can come flooding in. And once again, with recognition, we simply smile at all the thoughts we might have about the knees and see if we can't simply stay in the direct experience of knees. Feeling the front of the knee, the kneecap, the sides of the knees where muscles, tendons, ligaments, and cartilage are all available. The back of the knee, that felt sense of bend or space. And then remember moving beyond the surface of the knee into the knee itself. And I don't have very much going on in the knees today. That's a little unusual. And I am recognizing that the left knee has a little more tension, tightness at the posterior and the outside of the knee. I'm not turning that into a story or making distress about it. It's just interesting. I'm curious. It's neither pleasant or unpleasant. It's somewhat neutral. And then moving even deeper still into the vibrational or energetic sense of the knees. There's a lot going on here at the knees, lots of nerve endings, lots of tissue, sinew, fluids. With each breath towards the knee, we can offer that blessing. May these knees be well. May they be free from difficulty. May I be grateful for the mobility of knees. Taking an in breath, drawing in the whole experience of the knees. With the out breath, we're going to let go of the knees, the lower legs, and the feet. Sweeping through this part of the body, letting go completely, letting the lower legs begin to melt, release, and shifting attention once again into the upper legs. And often, somewhat immediately, one of two contact with the chair, or the bed, or the clothing, something on the external surface of the upper legs might appear, or if there's any kind of muscle action, these are big muscles, so that may speak to you first. There's no one right contact. Contact is contact, inner, outer, and both. I would like you to sense the way the body, with each out breath, settles a little bit more into the back of the legs if you're sitting, dropping you a little bit closer to the earth. And then feel how on the in breath it rises you up. Moving beyond the surface of the upper legs into the large muscles. And then into the energetic body. This is a really subtle sense of the upper legs and their knowing. There's a wisdom. As I said, there is Prajna, Paramita right here in the upper legs, often greater than your memory. What do these upper legs have to tell you right now? Gathering your attention with the out breath, letting the attention sweep over the whole of the upper leg, the knee, the lower leg, and the feet, and out and into the earth. And then breathe in right through the toes, feeling once again in a sweep over the feet, the ankle, the lower leg, the knees, and the upper leg. And just breathe like this for a moment. And then with the next out breath, just breathe out, releasing the whole of the lower body, coming into the area of the hips, the wisdom of the hips. I'm going to let you access the hips in those three levels on your own. This skin surface, just moving around the area of the hips, the back, the front, and the sides. Feeling stability in the hips from sitting or lying and making contact. tension or release. We're moving into the muscles around the hips. You may notice a pulsing, a throbbing. There are big arteries that run through this area of the body. The large muscles may have a twitch, tightness, a release. Soft tissue, hip flexors, and then to the pelvic girdle itself. You can make contact with the genitals, with the elimination organs, even with the subtle organs, the lower abdomen, uterus, ovaries, all the parts of this area of the body. Gathering the attention, opening one more time to the whole of the hips. May these hips be well. Releasing, coming into the area of the back. Touching in for at least 2 breaths to the lower back. That sense of arch to the mid back, the back ribs. Sense of breath movement even at the back of the body. The upper back. And remembering that thoughts about the body are not the body. Memories about the body are not the body now. And yes, it holds the memory as well. Coming up into the shoulder cap, resting attention there. And with an out breath, then we're going to begin to move from the shoulder down into the arms. Continuing the process that we've been practicing. The skin surface, the layer of muscle, tendon, arteries, blood flow, whatever's there, and then beyond the bone into the energetic vibrational body. Breathing into the whole of the upper arms. And shifting attention with the out breath down into the elbow. And then into the forearm, and the wrist. And then into the hands, the palm, the inner fingers, the fingertips, the knuckles, the nails, the back of the fingers. Back of the hand. And the thumb. Opening to the whole of the hands. Both of the left and the right arms. Pulsing, throbbing, vibration, fairly available here in the hands, filled with many nerve endings. The aliveness of the hands. And then sweeping back up the arms, coming back to the shoulders, into the neck and the cervical spine. Up to the head, the back of the skull, the thickened bone at the back of the head. The hair. The top of the head. And the sides of the head, including the temples, the ears. The wisdom of hearing. And making your way up to the forehead. And rather than try to make the forehead be some other way, see if you can check in on the forehead as it is, furrowed or released. Dropping down to the eyes, the eyeballs, the eyelids, the eyelashes, the eye sockets. To the nose, the bridge, the nostrils. Cheeks. down beneath the nostrils to the upper lip, the lower lip, and the mouth.
Yes, sir. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I'm good.
To the jaw and the chin. Feeling sensations rather than thinking about. Beyond into the throat. Feeling the breath as it brushes against the larynx, the throat. Down into the chest, the lungs, the heart. Feeling the movement, the vibrations, the energy available right here in the area of the chest. Into the diaphragm, into the belly. And in this softened part of the body, opening to include the organs. Feeling the sense of gases and fluids and functioning, maybe digestion. All the way into the abdomen and the lower abdomen. And then the whole of the front torso. And feeling the sense of the breath as it moves in and out of this part of the body. Let it flow naturally, effortlessly. May this part of the body be well. And as you're breathing, begin to sweep the breath over and through, up and down, in and out, front and back. Just checking in once again to the whole body. Feeling the expanse of the body on the in-breath, all the way down to the bottoms of the feet and beyond. All the way up and over and through the upper body, out the top of the head. And then opening beyond the sweep, just to hold the whole body, sitting or lying here breathing. Prajna, Paramita of the body. An essential, available anchor to the present moment, however it is. noticing the stability of mind, noticing the connect of mind to body. Recognizing that sense of wholeness, connectedness, presence. Prajna Paramita, available now. And nothing to think. May this whole body and all of its parts be well. And sending that blessing throughout the whole of the body and its parts, the subtle body, the inner body, and the energetic body, all the way down to the cells. And even the space between the cells. Remembering this body can be an available refuge for inviting mind home to the present moment. Body like this. Breath like this. And may all bodies be well. Extending beyond our own body. May all bodies be free from distress, from pain, from harm. May we all be grateful and glad for the parts of this body that work and the parts of the body that inform us when it doesn't work. And may we find equanimity here in our true home in this incarnation, this dwelling of the body. And may this practice this morning, may it contribute to the end of suffering and to happiness, well-being, and ease for ourselves and all beings. That was the body scan, something that we all have practiced before. I think most, if not all of us, have done the body scan before. We frequently do not offer uh, the body scan to ourselves sufficiently. And so then we lose our, our touchstone, don't we? We lose from the body. We can not care well for the body. You can forget about it. You can just drag it around, forgetting that it requires your kind, gentle, most loving attention. And the good news is we can always come back into the body. And in so doing, take good care of it so that we can continue to be of benefit to others. The body is not always the way we want it to be. In fact, for most of us, we've spent a lot of time in some kind of judgment or condemnation. It's got to be more like this or like that. Really quite a harsh mind, especially I think often women who have very unrealistic ideas about what the body's supposed to look like or be like. And I think if we were to practice the body scan more, we could simply appreciate the body as the vessel and then attend to it kindly with care and not mistake it, I think, so much for who we are. So be watchful of that, because no matter what you think of the body, no matter the body is also temporary. And so we can get a little over attached in a way that can also cause harm. So this is that balance. We're always like how to really offer ourselves this essential care and love and not get over attached and believe that this is what we need. If only the body were some other way, we could be okay. Haven't noticed that that is true myself. No matter what I weighed, no matter how the thing was, no matter if I was running marathons or if I couldn't get out of the car, really didn't have too much to do with the quality of my own heart mind, really. And then when I cared for it, no matter how it was operating, things are better regarding the body as the body also, and taking care of our essential home and home base. So I'm just going to check in as I try to get onto the computer now that I have loaded the 4,000 evidently new installments of something. I'm not sure what was going on there. We're going to see if we can't quickly get to the Kindle. But I'm just going to check in. How many people have not done the body scan recently? Why don't we start there? That would be curious. Libby's, I think, raising her hand. I know she did a little short one yesterday because we did it as a family. Not done the body scan. Anybody else not done the body scan lately? And then one of my questions to you is, what can you see as the benefit? What might be useful about a body scan as part of the practice every day? Because it hurts. Yeah. Yeah. The body's doing what the body's doing every single day. It's really true. And every day it is, Chris is right. It is offering us information. And Chris, I happen to know you don't usually like that information. You've had a pretty nicely operating body. However, it's done a lot of stuff for you. And I know you're doing a really good job of trying to care for the body in yoga, attending well. to that. Anything else you want to say about that body, Chris?
Well, I hurt my Achilles a couple weeks ago, kind of overdoing it because I was paying too much attention to it. So it seems like sometimes too much attention has not always the best results.
Yeah. Well, that kind of attention we like to call striving. And that kind of attention goes, let me push it a little bit further. Let me try more. Let me get to that old posture, or that way it used to go, or the way it used to be, or let me just see where the edge or the limit is. And the body will inform in its beauty. It will tell you exactly where the limits are. And then we have this amazing opportunity, don't we, to go, okay, how do I regard, respect, and care well for the body? And that sometimes means not moving, by the way, as well as moving. I have an Achilles issue as well. And so I just know sometimes, yes, I can walk 8 miles, and then I have to not walk 8 miles to let that part of the body recover. And so sounds like you're in a little bit of recovery.
Again, what I do know is I
Yeah.
wake every day, and I know, given the history of my life, that oftentimes I forget about my body, and then my world falls apart because it's always about other things, other people taking care of. But every day I wake now, and then whether it's putting my foot in the boot for a few days, or working out or not working out, finding that balance, I need that, or my world will for sure fall apart. I know that to be true.
Yeah. Some people use movement not only as a necessity for the body, but the body mind.
Right, exactly.
And really recognizing, right, releases of pent-up energy or contractedness. We invite release, and we do that in a variety of ways, including breath work and yoga and movement and walking. I avoid the word exercise. I think that's dangerous because that implies something really, for me, joyful movement of the body, I think, is probably a nice daily commitment in whatever way that is. And then finding how to sustain that day by day over time. So thank you. I know we all have many of us are at an age and stage. Even if you're not, I have sons in their 30s, and they're reporting, oh, this is not working like I like or I want, or it's not doing what I think it should be doing. So this is one of the realities of the body throughout our lifetimes. Cindy says, I haven't done the body scan in a while, and my meditation has not been as long or as committed, and I have been distracted. This really grounded me, and I was able to be really present. You're welcome. And please continue. I do have a short body scan I will put up that I just did yesterday and taped, and it's about 15 minutes. And I think that is a doable everyday practice. And I think it's one that when our minds are, swirling around, how do I do, what do I do, and all the things that we do, that the body scan is a beautiful and necessary practice. So Cindy, I love the idea. I would recommend getting back to the body scan for a while. That is the first practice that I think we could best benefit from. And it has real supports called the arms, the legs, the right belly. It's you've got something to ground into rather than open space or just the subtleties of the breath. And we don't have to begin like that. We can anchor right here, as long as, and this is the caveat for body scan, that we don't attach to the body and go, well, I want the arms like this, and then I want the belly like, really just feeling what the belly is, how it is, and appreciating it for what it continues to offer us. Because mostly, even when we have challenges and difficulties, the body is doing more than we appreciate, almost always. Even when something's hurt, even when there's an illness, even when we don't like it, the truth is most of the body is actually working. And most of our lifetimes do not appreciate that until when? Till it isn't. And then we're like, holy shit, what was I thinking? Because now it's really not working and it isn't going to work. And I'm really going to have to practice the letting go of the body. And I think it's a little late in the game to go, whoops. So let's practice not only contact with the body, but the temporariness, the impermanence of the body. The just right nowness is a way to do that. Just now, shoulder like this. I don't know, Achilles just now, like this, and without making a story about it, without making a me up. This is how neuroses begin. Really, I cultivate storylines about the part and about me in the part and about if only something in the, but then I could be better. Shelley says on chat, thank you, Shelley. I too haven't done the scan in a long time. You offer such a kind way for us to be gentle to our mind thoughts. You're so welcome. Yes, we better start getting gentle because that mind is in its habit going to do exactly what we noticed, right? Over here, over there. Oh, the body, back to the body, and we smile when we arrive every time. To make others, Dennis says, aware of their bodies is revealing and refreshing and always letting us know. To make others aware of their bodies is revealing and refreshing. Dennis teaches tennis, so I'm guessing, Dennis, you have a real opportunity to help people get back into their bodies, to just feel really, to know by felt sense the qualities, the movement, the right of the body, which sounds very lovely and exciting, especially for kids who I think climb out of their bodies pretty quickly now into gotta know, gotta think, gotta do, gotta be, and how to help them stay embodied. Really, how lovely is that? Thank you for that work. It's very important. Siobhan, I recognize that if I don't feel anything right away, I tend to say, okay, nothing happening. Yeah, that is a big habit, isn't it? Here, let's move on. Just like I have been known to do in my life. Yeah, exactly. This is a quality of mind it's useful to drop in on. But when I just stayed with the body part, initially feeling nothing, numbness, we're not very checked in on the body very well. That the subtleties arose, yes. And I could feel something, energy, yes, a vibrational sense. I just call that aliveness. I don't even know how I know what I know, but there it is, the cuticle of the big toe, just radiating energy that I'm aware of. It's really pretty stunning, isn't it? This capacity of awareness. Great metaphor for life. Yes, the body's the best metaphor for this life ever. Thank you all for that feedback and those thoughts. They're very useful, very important. I want to go to chapter 19 now, the heightened neurosis. This is again, the next few chapters for me are the absolutely most favorite. I've read this chapter no less than 200 times. And every time I read it, I'm stunned by its wisdom. Again and again, it just blows me away. This is relevant to everything, just to everything. And I want you to know we're going to take a little time really looking at it because it is so rich, even though it is a small chapter. So for Shelley or for Carrie here who don't have the chapter, I'm going to see if I can't get on Zoom here and put it up for you. So hang on a second. All right, I'm going to see if you guys can hear me. I'm going to turn somebody else into the host. I just made Courtney the host so I could get out of there. Can you hear me okay? You can hear me, wonderful. I'm going to go to that Kindle again and share that because I think it helps us when we can follow along together a little bit. It says the host has disabled participant screen sharing. Courtney, can you go see if you can let me share the screen?
Yeah.
So glad I handed that to you because I wouldn't know what I was doing at this point. I guess participants have to be able to share screen also because now I'm just a participant. I'm smart enough to.
Did that work? I made you a co-host.
Let's see if we can do that. Oh, you made me the co-host, so that should work.
Okay, good.
Yep, I think so. You're exactly right. I apologize, everyone, for this little jam. We're just practicing how to do this. I'm going to get it right here now. There we go. Let me bring it back. Can everybody see that now? Yay, sorry about that. My computer this morning was challenged. And so we read this very first quote here, "The Secret of Life" by Joko, is to develop a practice. And not only a practice, meditation practice, but a practice for life, she says. A daily life practice, which is what? A presence, showing up, and then showing up in a certain way, right? Not just being there, but being there open-heartedly, being there clear-seeing, being there embodied. We just practiced that, embodied, the whole mind, body, and heart, present and online. This takes practice. This takes practice. First of all, we already all just said, I'm barely in my body. And when I'm in my body, it's usually because something's messed up or hurting or, and then otherwise I can often be pressing in on the body. Got to be like this, got to do this. And though, yes, we're acknowledging the essential need to move the body, to care for the body, to attend to the body, we're frequently even then not very often in the body. It's something we're all working on and practicing. And so all of these elements are essential to our health, well-being, and this Prajna Paramita. And so Pema says this, Prajna Paramita is unconditional bodhicitta, right there. Oh, wisdom of mind, body, and heart, essential unconditional bodhicitta. Being in the present moment, essential, and though grabbing onto things in the present moment, this is how we often begin the practice, don't we? Even in the body, we sort of make contact with the body, we stay in the body. Ultimately, Prajna Paramita is larger, just so we don't get confused, than just body awareness. Larger than just, but where do we begin? Right here, right now, just like this. I love this idea of unarmored participation. Isn't that a fabulous word? Unarmored. We show up to the body and unbind, untangle. These are the words used in the Buddhist suttas, by the way. Unknot. These are the words. And there are Pali words for all of these things. We keep untangling not only the body itself, by the way, that's a mistake, but the mind body. It isn't simply just do some stretches and then you're going to be present. Oh, no, you're not. You have to untangle the mind, body, heart mechanism. We're really parsing, aren't we? Oh, this is the body. This is the mind. These are the emotions. So that's what it means by unknotting. It doesn't mean if you stretch every day, everything's going to be okay. And yes, stretch too. That's good. But don't mistake it. Don't mistake it. And I believe in all traditions, we have our preferences. In all traditions, we have our preferences for how we're going to unknot. But remember, it's always the unknotting of this solid mass of experience that we call what? Me. This whole massive thing. And so then when the body's not okay, what's the habit? Well, now the mind goes into distress and the heart aches, right? This is our reality. And when the mind's confused, what is the body? Is fatigued or distressed or restless, so that we also acknowledge and recognize our essential interconnectedness is very useful. But I loved this unarmored participation with our experience. What does that mean? I better show up whether I like it or not. Okay, I don't like it so much. Good to know. It doesn't get us out of the requirements for embodying awareness, embodying the present moment, and knowing how we are including mind, body, and hearts. We are certainly not being asked to trust that everything is going to be all right. Another blowout line for me, because don't we? I practice for years and I tell people that all the time. If I practice enough, everything will be okay. Well, it is true, but not necessarily at the levels at which I hoped. Everything's going to be all right. And that means, well, no, it doesn't mean I'm not going to die. It doesn't mean I don't have an illness. It doesn't mean I'm not aging. It doesn't, right, mean I'm still not going to get divorced. It doesn't. And it does mean I, in my wholeness, will be able to respond, to relate to, and to bring some compassionate, loving, kind presence to the circumstance, to myself, and then even to the other. This is really good news. But all right, we have to be careful, don't we? That we call this spiritual bypassing. It's a tendency to go, if I practice, I can escape the truth of this human life. I don't know this to be true. In fact, I'll tell you quite otherwise. First, you got to drop into it, and sometimes it's the hell realm, isn't it? The whole kit and caboodle is falling apart. But still, there's nothing better than the whole of you to attend to that in some way that will make it workable. Don't want to say pleasant, and I will say workable. I have noticed this for sure. I have noticed this for sure. I have to say, 2 parents have died, 3 now of my husband's and my parents have died. My brother has died, right? There have been illnesses, there have been diagnoses, there have been, right, challenges, that people have lost jobs, right? There's been distress, because that's the whole of a life, right? And I have to say, I know for sure that my practice has allowed me to be present to it in a greater way than I would be capable without it. No doubt. Just no doubt. And it doesn't mean it's easy, is also true, right? There are these challenges. We will not initially experience this as thrilling. Prajna Paramita is what she's talking about. It isn't like, oh, yay, this is so fun. You're mostly going, uh-oh, this is it. This is life. Wait a minute. not too excited. And by the way, it's all good news. We're just going to stay as we continue to recognize that much, well, let me go with all of our suffering is the result of our habit mind, not life. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It is not life happening that is the cause of your distress. This shift by itself is gigantic. That you stop going, fuck life. This is the mess. No, it isn't. It is, in fact, the other, which is, I don't like this. I don't want this. I'm going to drink it away, eat it away, sex it away, whatever we're doing, and see if that can't get me something. And oops, here's the problem. Temporarily, it does. It does, and does not make anything better in the long run. So we're just starting to, she's naming these neuroses, these habits of ours, these patterns that actually contribute to our suffering, and the very awareness of them is Prajna Paramita. Isn't that beautiful? With whatever we're doing, however we're hoping it gets us out of this life, out of this reality, out of the challenge, it won't, A, and then B, that by itself is Prajna Paramita. You didn't even do anything yet. You didn't know to stop eating caramel corn. You were just going, I don't know, I just feel sick every time I eat it. Well, this is Prajna Paramita. And it's one of its manifestations. And I didn't stop eating a thing yet. I didn't even get enough wisdom to know that. I'm just going, every time I eat it, I don't feel good. Wonder what that is. But it's the beginning of the seed, I think she calls it at some point here, of Prajna Paramita. She says this is called heightened neurosis. That was Chogyam's word, honestly. I wouldn't say that's a Buddhist perspective at all. The Buddhists would say knotted mind, or remember, tangled mind, or something like that. He called it heightened neurosis. This sense of groundlessness that we're all trying to avoid, it says. We catch the sense of groundlessness, right? That's all. We didn't even land in it yet. We're sniffing around going, whoops, what's this? And despite our wish for security, comfort, stability, permanence, we're all grasping at this, right? We hold tight to the habits that we think will offer it to us and suffer. And suffer. The path to awakening is right here. Is right here. Right in noticing, A, that we're suffering, and B, knowing at some deep level that it is our own mind in its resistance, in its struggle, in its habit nature that is the cause of the suffering. Does this mean that it will not be painful? No, it will be. She says, and I agree, sometimes more so. Because now you're just in contact with it. There's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, and you can't get out of anything, right? There's no marshmallow ice cream to eat. There's no partner to find that gets us out of the reality. And that's why neurosis is a good word, because it implies the nature of my own mind, not life in its reality. We are always looking for ground. We know this. She says, slowly we edge towards the open state, but let's face it, we're moving towards a place with no handles, no babysitter, nobody coming to rescue us at all. This may be called liberation, she says. And we're all screaming, aren't we? This may be called liberation, and we're all screaming because it feels like no ground. And it is, in fact, liberation. Groundless and boundless are the same thing. We don't like the idea. She gives some examples here. She says one of the things we do is cultivate a new critical storyline. We get very demanding in our spiritual practices. We go, as long as I'm doing this, I could be okay. We accidentally reinforce the give me something else than this moment. And of course, suffering continues. If we train to become a good warrior or to escape from being a bad person, then our thinking will remain polarized, just as stuck in right and wrong, good and bad as before. This is this idea we all carry. If I'm a practitioner every day, then I should feel better. Yes, it is ultimately true. And it is not necessarily true on the spot, because what? I've got to make contact with the truth that there is suffering and then see its causes, which means something about the way I'm relating to that moment that is at play. We often don't take the time because we scurry away pretty quick, as we were saying just about the body, right? We get out of there as fast as we can. We don't stick around, said Siobhan, to see what's actually happening. This path, this warrior path, the Bodhisattva path, is a courageous one. Of course, we already all know that. It will turn our lives around. It is true. And the practice, daily practice, is the point, without then developing, she says, an image about ourselves. I am better. If only other people would practice too. By the way, I press people to practice every day. It isn't because I'm looking for them to be a certain way for me. However, I'm asking for them to commit and invest in themselves so that they can be free of suffering, not so that I can like them better. She names another neuroses here, which is avoidance. Boy, don't we use this? I won't practice right now because things are hard. If only I had more time, if only I felt better, if only, right, it wasn't between that and exercise, because then I could get to it, right? We are bargainers. It is the addictive nature. It is the addict who bargains pretty regularly with the practice. I could do it for 5 minutes twice a week. If only I could get up early, but then I can't, right? We're always navigating, negotiating, and by the way, without relief. It actually holds us into the old addictive pattern, by the way. And she uses examples of a partner is alcoholic, or they're addicted to marijuana, or they've got some other things happening. And we are always, no matter the circumstance, earnestly training in relaxing into spaciousness, openness, and warm-heartedness. No matter what is happening, this is the beginning requirement for Prajna, Paramita, and we can begin in our own mind bodies. The point is that we will bring our habitual ways of gluing ourselves together, that's our addictive habits, right into bodhicitta practice, right into the training in ungluing. I also love this idea of getting it together. She says, no, it's probably better to fall apart. You're probably closer as you do not work so hard to get it all ordered up. If we want some insight into our habits, we can look at how we are relating to our practice itself. I love looking at partners. I think practice and partners are the same thing. I love being able to go, there I am, thinking if only he could be different. There I am, thinking if only he practiced. The only person who needs to practice is this one. This person right here, right? If only he could get the teachings, if only he could something, right? As if he were the problem. As if he were the problem. Right? And this is our habit. And this is the same as placing the responsibility for our happiness on life, isn't it? It's identically the same. If we expect to have our needs met in the same way that we do, that we want what we want, I think is another way, this is the beginning of a neurotic relationship. And the spiritual bypassing. If only you would practice, I could be better. How hilarious is this? If only you would practice, I could be better. No. It's a hard one for me to give up, folks. I'm just going to tell you the so hard. If only you could get enlightened, I could be better. This is the way this could possibly work. We're all laughing because we know the habit mind of this. If only you would have said it better. If only you would have said it in a different tone of voice. If only you looked at me when you said it. If only, blah, 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 blah. Oh, geez, neuroses abound. We are bound to be afraid in that reality of groundlessness and grab on to what's familiar, including that very storyline. If only something else, then I could be okay. Without patience and kindness in this process, we can never come to trust the wise and compassionate realities of the egoless state. We could never come to trust it without resting in it again and again and again and again and again. This is why daily practice is required, because I forget in 30 seconds or less, half a breath, right? We get to have confidence in the reality of this. And it's a continual letting go, she says. We train in loving kindness. It takes time to develop enthusiasm for how remaining open really feels. That's what Siobhan was saying. I don't even know really how I am. I show up with my idea, or I just show up to nothing because I'm not even really refined in attention yet to see the subtlety of how I actually am. And so rather than offer myself what is really needed, which is a little time, a little extra pause, a little extra stay, right? A little extra move closer, right in the middle of boredom, right in the middle of nothing happening, right in the middle of this is a drag, right? In the practice, we can't come to know because of the subtle reality of the mind body. We cannot know, which is why daily practice is essential. We sharpen the tool of our own awareness over time. Over time. So if you can't do 60 breaths, which is now we're realizing 7 or 8 minutes, you start in 20 breath increments. And you can do that because that's a stoplight. You can do that because that's waiting for the phone call. You can do that because there are sufficient gaps in the day in which to place that. It requires fierce attention because by then the mind has taken off into all the things it thinks it needs to do. That's why we can't find them, by the way. It's not because they're not there. It's because the mind is not even in the body in the present moment. You're already 3 weeks down. And then you go, where? I didn't see where that gap was. Well, they're everywhere. By the way, they're right here and right now. It says the first step is to understand that a feeling of dread or discomfort might just be the sign that old habits are getting liberated. Don't you love that? The very distress is probably the evidence that you're not just covering it up with some old habit, that we are actually moving closer to our natural open state. Holy cow. We can even use our distress as the evidence of our present moment and drawing closer to the reality of groundlessness. I do not know how to move towards groundlessness without screaming. I have not figured that out. I do know that we stop screaming when we see that there's no ground, which is what my teacher frequently spoke about, is that there is no ground because there's nothing solid, not even ground, not you and not ground. So don't worry about the splat. There is none. There is none, because nothing is solid enough for this. This is just our fantasy and our ideas that if this body, right, were to fling itself off the cliff, it would be the end of us. And it's because we don't know better, because we're just living in that. As long as it feels okay, as long as I have what I need, as long as I'm comfortable, as long as I'm secure, like we could hold on to this, as long as I'm anchored, then I could be okay. And that we have to keep discovering that that's just not true. She says, personally, I found this to be true. After a while, I realized that since the shakiness was never going to go away, okay, I added the word never, didn't I? Never, never. Shenpa grip, never going to go away. The queasiness, the tenderness of being alive. Now we get to relax. Don't we? Now we just get to relax. It's never going to go away. We don't even have to try, and we're not failed because we have it. That's liberating by itself. That tender shakiness is just a part of being alive and human. And I want to stop there. So what does that mean for you? I see the silence in your face. We're never going to get rid of the shaky tenderness of being alive. Libby says, it gave me a sense of ease knowing that I'm not failed and fucked up. This is just being human. I don't have to cover it. I don't have to get rid of it. And I don't have to try to be some other way. What a relief. This is a fundamental shift, she says here. Instead of spending our lives tensing against it, trying to get rid of it, right? As if we were in the dentist chair, she says, we learn that we can connect with the freshness of the moment and finally relax. This is a big shift, isn't it? It's not so small. A fundamental shift. And then we could finally relax with it, not against it. The practice is compassionate inquiry into moods, emotions, and thoughts. Practicing compassionate inquiry into our reactions and strategies for getting away from this is what she's saying. Trying to get away from it is fundamental to the process of waking up. Fundamental to the process, looking at all of the ways that we try to get somewhere else, be something else, get something else, is a beautiful part of the path for allowing us to finally relax and let go of trying to be some other way, some other day, or getting better and better. We can finally just relax. This is how we learn to abide in Prajna Paramita, because that's it. That is the wisdom right there. This is an ongoing practice, she says. We come to completely trust the freedom of our unconditional, unbiased mind. We are surrendering moment by moment to whatever is happening in this very instant without trying to be somebody else, get somewhere else, or make somebody else something else. With precision and gentleness, we surrender our cherished ways of regarding ourselves or our lives, our cherished ways, right? We're pretty attached of holding it all together. I love that line of holding it all, our cherished ways of holding it all together. And blocking, really, this is the key, the heart of bodhicitta. There it is, of blocking, holding it all together and blocking the possibility of freedom, of bodhicitta. And then we rest simply in the truth of groundlessness, boundless, open, vast, and infinite after all. An amazing chapter, isn't it? Yeah, it's really an amazing chapter. I'm going to recommend that everybody read it again now that we understand what it's actually telling us. I'm going to suggest you read it again because it is that very vulnerability. It is that very brokenness that you believe you are or have been thrust upon you that is the open door. That is the path of bodhicitta. Can we soften right there instead of brace against? Chris says, I'm thinking about the old excuse and phrase, shit happens, but it is not the shit, it's the mind. That's exactly right. And we don't have to condemn it. And in fact, once we know that, we've already turned towards the reality of our own vulnerability, our own humanness, and we can begin to open, right? Have a good day is a joke. Make a good day is the truth, right? Make it. And how? Acknowledging suffering is suffering. We can't get out of it. Begin there. Acknowledge suffering is suffering, and then look more closely at the qualities of heart-mind that you're bringing. Resisting something, rejecting something, wanting something is happening. Wanting something else. Jenna says, may you always shit effortlessly. This is right. Yeah, just not on yourself, right? That might be the key. Just not on yourself. And then if not on yourself, then not on others. And then it's just shit. No problem. Right? This is the truth. We've gone over, and thank you so much for being patient with me. I'm going to ask that you reread that chapter. There is the next chapter, however, we will be going on with this understanding to chapter 20. And chapter 20 is called When the Going Gets Rough. It's a very short chapter. When the going gets rough, when we can't stay on our own side, when we can't bring compassion to ourselves or to others, then what do we do? What do we do? Well, we acknowledge that. Vulnerable like this, locked up like this, shut down like this, addicted like this, caramel corning like this. It's a beautiful beginning. And then we feel for ourselves there too. So read 20 and 21. We're going to do these two chapters for next Tuesday. And 21 is a spiritual friend and how we need each other and our models and our examples. 20 and 21, we're going to do that next week. And then we'll be doing my favorite chapter, actually the one I have copied in my wallet. 22, the in-between state. It is a priceless chapter and also happens to be the end of the book. And read them all so that as we go over this 20 and 21 next week, we can begin to cultivate some kind of essential friendliness again and again and again and again for ourselves. May we place our hands together. May we call to mind all those just like us who want to be happy, who want to be free from pain and suffering, who want ease. And it begins by turning towards the truth of that Shenpa grip, that queasy tenderness. And rather than our usual shutting down, turning away, distracting, we begin breath by breath to open. May we all be well, and may all manner of things this day be well. So be it. Thank you all so much. I will send the recording of this for the body scan. I will also try to send the link for the shortened 15-minute body scan. I'm going to recommend that practice this week. I'm going to recommend that short 15-minute body scan every day so that you can stay in touch with that queasy tenderness in you and keep opening. And keep opening. Love to you all. Good to see you, Shelley. Wonderful to have you. We look forward to seeing you whenever that can work for you. Cindy, thank you for bringing someone you love. That's quite a statement about your feelings about the Sangha. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Make a good day.